today I feel that it was only to feel me that I am not out of place. Since I was a Bengali, my mother tongue had been Bengali, could never speak me either in Nepali or in English. But simply, he would convince me that my stay at Darjeeling would be very comfortable. Actually, we were nervous. We had been afraid of the different warnings that we got from many of our friends that Darjeeling is a place of freezing cold and warm politics, and so that we are not engrossing us into such things. So as soon as possible, let's serve Darjeeling and then leave Darjeeling, find a way, how can you? He would always give confidence, spirit. He would always introduce the big shots of Darjeeling. I still recollect that I was introduced to the Vardhaman Maharaja by him. And many of his friends who would be roaming from Cavenders to Chaurasta, he would be always introducing me as young professor. He would always hold me, he was always introduced to everyone that this is young professor, this is Srikanto, he is in history and he has joined CSAC. And I was really nervous those days, but still, when he was alone, I was really comfortable. He would discuss many points, many differences, and he would give me assurance that my stay at Darjeeling is going to be a beautiful one. And today I feel that he was helping me to find helping me to locate myself within Darjeeling. Initially, there had been many bad influences that was to say us that leave Darjeeling on a superficial level and leave. But actually, he was not giving that directions. And after 20 years of my service at Darjeeling, as Sir Rai also told me, he was my mentor at the college. And as Sir Rai told that he was astonished to find me that I have left Darjeeling. Actually, I was not brought up in this mindset, but to be very frankly, I left Darjeeling to join Asansol University only to be little closer to my family. Actually, I belong to Asansol. So my parents, they were old, and so I only wanted to join them, but within 9 months, I found that I am feeling out of place in Asansol. Rather, I was feeling comfortable at Darjeeling, and so after 9 months of my service there, I came back to Loreto College, Southfield College, for I feel that I am very powerful among my students. And what I have felt is that there are many people to serve the students at the plains, but in Darjeeling, there is a dirt. So the students who are coming from the many backgrounds, with many cultures, sometimes it may appear that the students, they are not well prepared to read in the college, but we have to understand that they are first generation learners. There is no one to foster them at the home. My daughter is there, I am there to talk to her, I am there to facilitate her next day classroom problems, but I have many students who are really first generation learners and there is no one to talk to them. And I felt that better I should locate myself here. And if I have to look at myself here in Darjeeling, then I have to look at me within the cultures of Darjeeling. As a teacher of history, as a student of history, not a teacher, as a student of history, the culture, heritage are the terms, the things, society, culture, heritage are the terms with which we have to work every day, every time. And Darjeeling, what I have felt is that the cultures, I don't mean it a culture, as a whole this is Darjeeling culture, but actually there are many cultures within that Darjeeling culture. And my focus, my point is that I am, to be very frankly, I am not an expert on Darjeeling's history, but still I have tried to understand from a different perspective. Very recently we have worked on the people's history of Darjeeling, and where we have tried to make a framework that Darjeeling's history has been has been seen from the perspective of the colonizers, the nationalists, the insiders, the inside outsiders, the outside insiders like me. So there are many histories of Darjeeling, and all histories are the part and parcel of Darjeeling. This is perception about it. So Darjeeling's culture, like the place Darjeeling itself, the culture of Darjeeling is quite ambivalent, and the cultures of such places are bound to be ambivalent. So that is why I decided, considering Dipankar said, I have every respect for him, and it was he who located me here, who helped me to learn Darjeeling cultures, who helped me to look at the Darjeeling people and their cultures. So I have tried to, I have already mentioned that I am not an expert on Darjeeling's history, culture, its heritage, but I have tried, I have talked to many peoples, and I have my own perception as an inside outsider. Actually I am outsider, but I am now inside, and I am looking at Darjeeling's culture. I am seeing change, which is but constant. Change is the only constant. We cannot look at it. Changes are happening, and sometimes the older people, they may be feeling out of place, they may not be liking the changes, but we cannot resist it. Something is happening, but despite this fact, we have to understand the Darjeeling culture, we have to enter into it, and we have to maintain the principles of the culture that has grown over a long period of time. And that is my focus in today's lecture. There is ambivalence. Very recently, from the 1990s, we have looked at a dilemma. What is the culture? What is the heritage? And to be very frankly, heritage, I have seen the heritage. Basically, I have looked at the intangible heritage, and the manifestation of which is the tangible heritage. When intangible, our perceptions, our thoughts, which are manifest, taking a manifestation, whether this be a book, whether this be a poetry, whether this be music, actually, idea precedes action. There is one idea behind that. So this intangible heritage, which we cannot touch, we can only perceive. I have mostly focused on this perceived heritage. So now I enter into the basic arguments that I have tried to look at. Society is what emerges from a network of interactions between people that follow certain agreed upon and perceptible patterns. Every society has its cultures. The definition of culture has been changed over centuries. However, culture may be understood as the patterns of how people live and express themselves, and how they value objects and thoughts. The components of culture are varied, and each has a context and meaning relating them to the past and to their significance as a contemporary presence. Sociologists like Gilner have seen that the culture of elite groups who represent what is called high culture becomes the ideal. Naturally, it receives larger patronage and symbolizes the patterns of life of dominant groups. As the composition and nature of the dominant groups changes over time, so changes the culture. This does not necessarily mean that there is no place for what is called low culture, or what is sometimes called the popular culture. The objects that identify culture and the ideas and practices that shape the culture being implied constitute heritage. Heritage is not static, as it was assumed, bequeathed by ancestors, being neatly packaged to one generation who pass it on to the other unchanged. Each generation changes the contents either marginally or substantially. Evidence of historical records of high culture in forms such as texts, and monuments and many more readily available as heritage. On the contrary, the objects of the socially lower groups of the society whose less durable cultural manifestations often do not survive or do not find place at the surface. The narrative of the political process of the formation of Darjeeling by the British colonizers have been extensively and has been done extensively, and I need not recount it here. The process of social formation of Darjeeling is very interesting with regard to the composition of the society of Darjeeling. O'Malley described Darjeeling as Babel of tribes, a melting pot, and an excellent illustration of composite culture. Long ago he writes, but he mentions one word, a melting pot and an excellent illustration of composite culture. So he himself was experiencing it when he was writing in the middle of the 19th century. He was also experiencing a composite culture. The promotion of diverse cultures has a fascinating history, and the Darjeeling Hills served as the matrix for the making of this composite culture. The formation of the cultures of Darjeeling has followed no unique trajectory. Colonialism has played a crucial role. I pause for a moment. That Darjeeling's history has started from 1855, when Darjeeling was established as a town, as a sanatorium, as a strategic location for the British. But to be very frankly, recent researchers has well established that even Darjeeling has experienced a prehistoric phase of the development of the humanity. And if we take into consideration the discoveries at Shankhedunga, etc., Darjeeling, Shankhedunga, that the Neolithic settlements were there, and the medieval period of Darjeeling, although there was no state, there was no organized state or system, but there was interaction, there was movement of goods and people, and people and goods move with cultures. So there is one prehistoric period, there is one ancient historic period, there is one medieval period of Darjeeling's history as well. May not be as glorious as the Mauryan period or the Gupta period or the Mughal period, but man was there. The history, if man is the main constituent of history, man was there and the man they lived. They had their own experiences. And so, Darjeeling's history is usually beginning with 1855, but we wanted to break away this format, and we wanted to take back the culture and history of Darjeeling before back. As I told you that it took no unique trajectory. For actually, the trajectory, the format that we try to find begins with 1835, the entrance of the British, the treaties, the transfer of Darjeeling to the British by the Maharaja of Sikkim, and even before that, the conflicts between Nepal and Sikkim, the Bhutan, and the British, they are making this history. And the history that is taught to us, that begins with the colonial versions. And so, that is why there is a misinterpretation, there is a misconception about Darjeeling's history. So Darjeeling's culture, what is Darjeeling culture? The town culture, yes, we have to admit that it had its beginning with the establishment of the Darjeeling town. But to be very frankly, the culture of the eastern Himalayas on which Darjeeling is located, and which actually is the matrix for roughly 6 nationalities and 6 nations and many groups of people, many interactions as a contact zone. This cannot be considered as state, well-organized state, but Eastern Himalayas is a contact zone of roughly 6 nations and nationalities. And these nations and nationalities are composed of many communities, many ethnic groups, tribes, clans, and so there are many cultures. That is very interesting. So anyway, let's come back to Darjeeling culture, the town culture. I focused on the Darjeeling town and its culture and its surroundings. The British took over Darjeeling in 1835 and set in motion the process of modernization and urbanization. Besides others, according to Kennedy, Professor Kennedy, one important reason was the creation of cultural enclaves for the European population, by which the Europeans could raise their children in European setting far away from the influence of the Indian plains. The process had its severe impact, leading towards contacts and adjustments and, very importantly, loss of culture. In course of the making of modern Darjeeling under colonial setting, the popular cultures of Darjeeling based on multiculturalism were created. Who composed the cultures of Darjeeling and how? I imply the existence of both the high and the low cultures here. However, besides the Europeans, the Gurkhas, I will just explain the term. The Gurkhas, the Marwari community from Bhojpur, the Bengali community and the Muslim population migrating from different areas, the Biharis, the Valmiki community along with small number of Chinese who vanished after Indo-China War of the 1960s, and Parsi, some amount of Parsi they used to see near Lebong. And by the term Gurkha, the Gurkha was a term that was employed by the colonial masters to a group of people who were not people in that sense of the term. But anyway, presently we understand Gurkha is the umbrella term. We can consider it as an umbrella term that the ethnic communities of Darjeeling Hills like Lepcha, Limbu, Tamang, Sherpa, Bhutia, Tukpa, Rai, Gurung, Mangar, Newar, Thami, Kami, Damai, Sarki, Sonwar, Yakha, Thimal, Yolmo, Vujil. And this has been chosen for themselves. They themselves have chosen this term in order to form a multitude on the basis of what these singularities share in common. They are singulars, but they share something common. And so they themselves have chosen this term that we should be included. For actually, we can understand that the Lepchas, the Limbus are different people. Anyway, the people coming from Nepal became a majority within a short period. Professor Kumar Pradhan is of the opinion that the integration among the various ethnic tribes coming from Nepal happened outside Nepal. In Darjeeling, the language has played an important role to integrate these various groups of people, as they had to coexist in connection with work in the tea gardens in the same locality, unlike Nepal, where they had villages for a particular tribe. The arrival of people from across the Himalayas as well as other parts of the world carried their languages, customs, traditions and religions. According to Middleton and Snyderman, over the generations, as members of different ethnic groups mixed and intermarried, many of these discrete linguistic and religious practices of their ancestors gave way to new hybrid cultural forms. And according to Professor Sharma, this dynamism of cultural loss, they had to lose components of their cultures in connection with the interactions, in connection with intermarriages. So there was hybrid culture where there was a loss of cultures of each and every community. They had to lose portions of their culture. And according to Professor Sharma says that this dynamism of cultural loss, hybridity and ethnogenesis over the last 2 centuries have yielded Darjeeling's distinctive multicultural identity and made the hills a unique site of Himalayan cosmopolitanism. He has used the term Himalayan cosmopolitanism. The integration of the different communities has not been seamless. Issues of ethnic identity, language and cultural preservation have led to periodic tensions and a sense of marginalization among certain groups. My colleague Divakar Thatal has shown that despite Nepali serving as the lingua franca, the different ethnic groups and communities have been able to retain their inner domain in their cultural practices. I would like to take a cue from Russian history, that with the establishment of the communist regime, there was obstacles on the carrying of the cultures of Catholicism, etc., etc. But when there was decline of that United States of Soviet Russia, it was found that people knew, they practiced the different Catholic cultural practice, whatever is there, they all know it. The question would arise that how did it survive over this long period of time? Say 1918 to 1980s, if you look into the matter. So it was a long 70 years, and the people at home, they were not expected to practice these religious cult practices. But after 70 years or 80 years, they still recollected what they have to do, what is their practice. And as soon as the communist regime was over, Russia declined, there was the emergence of these practices. That would imply one thing, that they were practicing these things into their inner domain. And I'm just taking for a comparison that similar things may have happened in Darjeeling, and we can think about it. That they have acculturated, they have mixed, they have intermarried, but at the same time, when they are recollecting their past, I'll come to that point later on, when they are recollecting their past, they can do that. If they can do that, they have maintained their inner domain. The extant communities celebrate and adhere to specific cultural customs and practices. The intermingling of many cultures during these celebrations has been greatly strengthened by the inclusivity of Darjeeling. Thus, the cosmopolitan culture of Darjeeling has been created. The cosmopolitanism is well evident in traditions and customs, foods and festivals, music, dance, drama, folklore, and arts, and so on. Festivals such as Dasai, Losar, and Diwali are celebrated with equal fervor, reflecting the harmonious blending of different traditions. I'm not substantiating, there can be many facts that can be produced about it. I think you all are well acquainted with these things. I'm just trying to integrate what actually has happened. However, in the process of making the cosmopolitan cultural heritage of Darjeeling, there had been multiple levels and layers of erasers. As I told you, that when the two communities, when the two cultures, they are mixing, so there had been erasing. Many points, many components has been erased. And there have been many levels. At many levels, this has been erased. And now they have entered into the intermarriage between two different communities, say with two different religious houses, the Buddhists and the Christians, but they have well coexisted together, and there had been erasing of the many points. This I have seen, I have references, I can refer to a particular family. They are married to different religious groups, but everybody is practicing their own religion, and there is no compulsion. So this is a very good expression of cosmopolitanism, of acceptance, of exclusive understanding of the culture. The heritage here, like the place itself, was grown cosmopolitan. It was made cosmopolitan. It had compulsion to become cosmopolitan. The growth of this cosmopolitan heritage is not only about acceptance and inclusion, but about displacement and exclusion as well. It's not only that one community has accepted the other, one community has adjusted with the other. No, there have been exclusions as well. This has also happened. But still they have coexisted. As I have already mentioned, that the process had its severe impact, leading towards contacts and adjustments, and I point to the loss of cultures.